All right, guys, welcome back. So today is the 18th of June. Remember, we talked about yesterday. We talked about this fair value gap right here on the 4 hour, right? Watched the last video yesterday. We talked about this fair value gap, and we're saying that we are waiting for price to retrace back in here. Then we can take our entries to target these highs right here. These highs. Remember, we marked out. We said if price is going up, then our targets are this high and this one. But before we get to this high, we're seeing another target right here. This oil block right here, we might this will be our next target because we already took out this high, so our next target is this order block right there. So let's just delete that for the moment and go straight into it. So we had this fair value gap, price came down into it, and then price came into this fair value gap, but we never had any retracement, right? Instead we had this expansion phase. Yeah, this expansion phase, which is very, very dangerous, right? We need to first of all see if we can get a rejection out of this zone before going down the time frame. So right now we had this expansion candle to the upside, which is rejecting this zone right here. So if we move down to our 1 hour time frame, move down to 1 hour, we see that this expansion candle right here, this expansion candle right here gave us this fair value gap. Let's just delete this for our fair value gap. So it gave us this fair value gap right here, right? Give us this fair value gap. So right now what we are doing is that um it gave us this fair value gap and also gave us this fair value gap right here. So what's happening here is that price has shown us a respect candle, right? A bearish respect candle. So we might likely push lower to this gap, to might likely push lower to this fair value gap right here before going up. So now we wait because we have a fair value gap here and we also have a fair value gap here, right here, right? But this one is, it has a low chance, it has low chances of holding. It has low chances of holding because it just took out this high, right? It just took out this high. So it needs to retrace back. Price need to retrace. Price need to balance itself, right? Price need to balance itself before continuing higher. Because if we draw out, if you mark out something right here, this is a fair value gap area, a fair value gap area right here, and price stink into it and is respecting it as well. So right now we're waiting for price to come down into this area before we can start looking for buying opportunities. I really am not relying on this this fair value gap. This one, I'm not relying on the fair value gap because of this candle. Because of this candle, guys, this is a respect candle, and you really need to be very attentive when it comes to respect and disrespect candle. Because if we move down to a 15 minute, you see that there are fair value gaps up here which are most likely going to push price lower, like this. You see this fair value gap, this fair value gap right here. So it got traded back into right here, and now we are looking forward for it to push down here. If this fair value gap is going to hold, then it's going to push price back down here before we can start looking for our entries. But right here we can still look for entries, because came back in here when price came back in here, right? This was the first. Let's see, this was the first. I'm not saying this is right, because you're normally not supposed to do things like this. You need to wait, respect your setup, respect your rules. But we still would have you know you could capitalize on maybe this. But remember, today we had a lot of news, so you see a lot of shitty price actions like this, price just moving sideways and like this. So normally this was, I think this was after the news, right? Yeah, this was after the news. After the news we had this consolidation, so we're waiting for price to push down, either push down or continue higher. But the way things are, it shows that it's showing that price is going to push down to this area before continuing higher. So what we will do now is that we are going to wait. We are going to wait for price. Just have to keep waiting for price to push down to this area before we can then go to our 5 minute and look for our entry to continue higher. And our next target, our first target, is going to be this high. That'll be our first target. Our first target, sorry. Our first target is going to be this high. Sorry, I didn't get it the first time. It's going to be this high. So this is going to be our first target. So guys, if you're on your chart right now, just mark out this fair value gaps, right? Wait for price to retrace back into it. Then you go down to your 5 minutes right here. Go down to your 5 minutes. You look for a sharp turn. That is, you look for a leg, the most recent leg that creates a fair value gap into this fair value uh gap, this fair value area right here. um so you get a fair value gap going in and also a fair value gap going out like this. Let me just mark it out so that to be clear. Okay, so price needs to like create something like this: fair value gap going in, fair value gap going out, to then continue, right? So this is it. Price needs to create something like this. So you have fair value gap going in, and then you have fair value gap going out. So you enter at this fair value gap going out, you enter right here, and then your target is right here, right? So but you don't need to target this high. All right, you can just target 122 RR and capitalize on that. So that is it for today. I'll be dropping more insights tomorrow morning, considering how the market moves. So thank you guys, and see you tomorrow.